Hello and welcome back to India on 99.94, your home of Indian cricket content. I'm Nikesh Rugani alongside my co-host Sarah Warris of Wisden, as always. And Sarah, for the first time in the history of this podcast, we are both in the same country. I'm in Nagpur a couple of days after that test. You're up in Lucknow, but we're on the same time zone, and it's been pretty good for me so far. How are you?
I'm good. How's India treating you? The first test must have been a total dream to watch. Uh, your experiences from the test match, especially with the Australia media going on and on and on about the pitch. Can you just give a small insight into what it felt like before the match and how it panned out?
I mean, the whole build up to the match, it feels like a whirlwind, to be honest. We got in 2 days before, no, the day before the match, actually. We actually got to get to the ground the day before the match. We'd flown in, it was an overnight. I don't know what time it was, to be honest, what my body clock was on. So it was all a bit of a whirlwind, to be honest, to get everything sorted. It's always quite chaotic when you get to the ground and you're a broadcaster and you're anyone but a star, and you're trying to get all this stuff sorted. So that took a lot of time and energy. And then, yeah, come the start of the match, it almost felt as though the Australians had given up in a
Yeah.
way. They'd almost or made excuses, and it wasn't necessarily the team doing this. It was certain sections of their media. And my colleague on our SEN commentary on the radio, Bharat, just took an innocent picture of the pitch. Just, he was the only one at the ground a couple of days before the game in the evening, when all the rest of the media had gone home. So nobody else actually saw the watering of the pitch. So he took a picture, and then Fox Sports jumped on it in Australia, and loads of other outlets jumped on it. And Ian Healy was talking in the build-up, even, wasn't he, about if there are, quote, fair pitches, then Australia would stand a chance. If there are unfair pitches, then they won't. And that's a very colonial mentality, which, we don't need to give him too much time on that. And, again, he's been making comments. He's basically become irrelevant, Ian Healy, over the last few years. And, I just think it's like a lot of cricketers, they once, great players that they were at one point. Some of them have got this insecurity thing, and it's just a chance for him to keep himself within the news and relevant. But yeah, the whole build up was marred by all that. I don't think India were bothered. I don't think the Australian players were too bothered. They expected this. From everything that they said, they carried themselves well in the build up. Pat Cummins spoke really well about, we expect turning pitches. And, I don't know what you felt, Sarah, watching it from home, but at the ground, there were no demons in it. It took
Yeah.
turn. If you get in, you've got a solid defence, you can bat well. I mean, it had everything that a normal Indian pitch has, but India just played better.
Exactly, and that's exactly what Akshar Patel also said. You just have to. He scored a brilliant 80 odd, by the way. He said that you just have to grind it out. You have to. Uh, it will take time to adjust to the pitch, and once you get in, it's not. There are no demons in the pitch, as you said. And this is exactly what the Australian team also showed in the first innings, with Manas and Smith batting. They look so at ease. So it's basically, is it about the pitches being bad, or is it about your own inabilities to face spin on, or do well consistently in conditions which don't have the typical bounce and the pace which you are so used to. So yeah, fair point. And there was another tweet which said that Bharat, who has come on our show before, should actually be the player of the match, for just messing up with the mindset of the Australian media, and which in turn would have affected the Australian camp in a way. They would have known that all that is going on. And I don't know if you've seen a recent tweet by Fox just after the venue for the third test was shifted from Dharamshala to Indore, I think. So Fox put out a tweet which said that the third match has been shifted to Indore, where Ashwin averages something around 12, which is again like, it's kind of showing the Australian camp that, Ashwin averages better at that venue, so be alert or something of that sort. I don't know why they do it, but happy for an Indian fan, happy that India won. Um, just one question: did you expect the two seamers, Siraj and Shami, to start things off the way they did? India is the best team in the world, you could say, because they don't only have the best spin attack, they also have an amazing seam attack, and we've seen that in the recent past. We've seen them doing well in India. It was almost anticlimactic with all the talks about spin, and Ashwin and Jadeja. Akshar Patel wasn't even spoken about as much. It was Siraj and Shami who actually started things off. So, did you see that coming?
Yeah, I mean, good question. It was, you know, Shami and Siraj, as you say, are quality test bowlers, and it doesn't matter what conditions they're faced with. You've got a new hard ball. It's going to maybe seam a little bit. You get a little bit of early swing, and you just bowl it in the right areas and see what can happen. And a couple of very good deliveries there. A little bit of swing from Siraj to get the LBW, and then Shami getting on to jag back in to David Warner as well. So at 2 for 2. But then, like you say, that partnership between Labuschagne and Smith, that really showed that the Aussies can get runs on this. They've just got to bat sensibly. And that recovery job was amazing, but they went to lunch at 76 for 2 on that first day. So, reasonable session for both sides, really. Australia would have been happy with the way that turned out, especially after the start they got. India would have been happy that they got a couple of wickets at least, and, they were still in a good position themselves. Then after that, in the next session, it was 101 for 8. So that just kind of shows you what can happen in India when the spinners get bowling and get in their rhythm. And Jadeja was fantastic in that first innings, of course, with that fifer. And yeah, look, the Australian middle order, once Smith and Labuschagne were gone in that first innings, did not have a clue. And, look, for me, it's a little bit strange because I'm, technically part of the Australian media on this tour. Usually I'm traveling with England or whatever, whoever it might be. But I'm working for an Australian radio station. And, I'm speaking to a lot of the Australian media on off days and in the evenings and stuff. And we've got a point of difference. I mean, a lot of them, I've been saying, look, Alex Carey is absolutely clueless when it comes to playing spin because all he does is sweep, reverse sweep. That's all he knows. And they're saying, yeah, but he's a bloody good sweeper and reverse sweeper. It's his best shot. And yeah, it might be in Australia or whatever, but you've got to pick your moments when to do it. You can't just blindly reverse sweep everything in Asia. That means you don't have a clue how to play in Asia because, yes, do sweep, do reverse sweep if it's there to be done. But to score and to stay out there, you've got to have a solid defence. You have to have a solid defence. And you've got to try things like just coming down the wicket, just a little shimmy, get to the pitch of the ball, knock it around in the gaps. And, that's how you can accumulate runs. And yes, then you can play your big sweep shots and your big reverse sweeps. But, if you think that's going to work against the likes of Ashwin, Jadeja and Akshar Patel in full flow, you might hit a couple to the boundary like he did, but they'll work you out straight away if that's all you're going to do. So it's just brainless stuff, really, from the Australians. They look completely clueless. And look, I don't know what they're going to do in that second test in Delhi and what changes they'll make. They've still got doubts over Cameron Green, so I don't think he's going to be fit enough to bowl. Whether or not they play him as a batter, who knows. Hazelwood's still not fit. Stark might come in for Boland, who I thought bowled well. But from an Indian point of view, I think it's just go with the same as, right?
Yeah, definitely. One more thing, I would want about the selections. At least I would want Surya Kumar to probably be replaced by Shubman Gill. Shubman Gill, these conditions just suit him. He is a good player against spin, and these conditions just suit him. And I was actually very surprised when he wasn't picked. Because you are with the Australian media, as you said, you will have a bigger opinion on if Travis Head, the dropping of Travis Head, was that a surprise to you and to the Australian media around you, or was it expected, or did you not see that coming at all?
Yeah, I mean, that people got an inkling in the build up to the match that this might happen. But, to leave a guy like that out who's been in such brilliant form does seem a little bit strange. And, Renshaw and Hanscom
Yeah.
both looked very clueless in the middle order trying to play against high quality spin. So there has been a little bit of talk that maybe Head might open and Warner might have to give way, but I don't think they'll drop Warner after just one match. And, you know, Head coming in at the top of the order, somebody like Ashwin's going to relish that as well. So he'll snatch the new ball. I mean, he pretty much does anyway against those two left-handers, but he'll be snatching it even harder if somebody like Travis Head comes in at the top of the order as well. So yeah, difficult for him. I mean, he could slot back in the middle order, but it depends on the fitness of Green and all these other things. You mentioned Shubman Gill there. What about Shreyas Iyer? If Shreyas Iyer is cleared fit, that's his position, right? He's done nothing wrong
Yeah.
at number 5 in this Indian lineup to be dropped. He was injured. He didn't play the first test. Surely Shreyas Iyer has to come back and just reclaim his spot. He's been in fabulous form, and Shubman Gill, I feel, is better suited to being an opener in Test cricket. They'll probably go with KL Rahul, but just let him wait for that opportunity to come up. I think your number 5 is nailed down. Shreyas Iyer is there. He's been scoring runs in these conditions. Very good player of spin as well. Get him in.
Definitely, Shreyas Iyer, I wasn't really sure on his fitness, but if he is fit, he definitely walks in, and Shubman Gill will again have to miss out. KL Rahul, just that knock. Is he playing for a spot in the team? Is he? I don't know what KL Rahul seems to be doing up the order. That first innings, he could have carried on and gotten a big score, capitalized on it, and it just seemed that probably he's playing for a spot in the team and he's unsure of his own abilities. He just seems so tentative, and it's almost like the more deliveries I face, the uh, more it'll seem that I'm fighting it out in the middle. The conditions are tough, while Rohit Sharma on the other end, he played a fabulous knock. First, first day they batted, he scored his shots, so it wasn't like the pitch had anything for the Australian bowlers as such, and it wasn't a hard pitch as KL Rahul made it seem to be. And when Ashwin walked out, I know this is tongue in cheek and probably unfair to KL Rahul. There were tweets going around that the night watchman is almost better than the batter he's replacing. That's how KL Rahul's status is right now. So I actually wouldn't really be surprised if KL Rahul is dropped during the series, because there is someone like a Shubman Gill in the wings, and I would want that Shubman Gill, Shreyas Iyer is fit, he comes in the middle order. I would want Shubman Gill opening the innings if KL Rahul, continues to bat that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think he'll play in the next test, and we'll have to see what happens after that. But the batting aside, obviously Kohli and Pujara haven't even fired yet, and Australia is still under the pump, so that looks ominous. But it was the bowlers, who did all the damage, and we'll talk about them in a little bit more detail after this short break.
You're listening to Cricket's Conversation on 99.94. Whatever your team, we have the show for you on podcast, YouTube, or on the 99.94 app. We have India, England, South Africa, West Indies, and now Sri Lanka covered. If you want to find us, the best way is to follow us on social media at 9994DM by downloading the 9994 app or Google 99.94 on podcast. We speak cricket.
So the bowlers then, first innings it was Jadeja, second innings it was Ashwin. Akshar Patel came and did his thing as well and scored runs, which is crucial down the order. That partnership with Jadeja was very crucial in India's innings as well. I mean, just fantastic. And just a word on somebody like Jadeja. I think we've talked enough about Ashwin over the years, but Jadeja, his batting average is touching 50 in the last 5 years. His bowling average is below 25. You compare that to somebody like a Ben Stokes, whose batting average is mid-30s and bowling average is 30. And Ben Stokes has clearly had the bigger moments in those last 5 years. You look at Headingley and various other things, and he's captaining this side at the moment, which is playing exciting cricket. I don't know how long that's going to continue, but at Trent Bridge, he was part of that partnership with Johnny Bairstow last summer and all that. So he gets all the headlines, but I don't think there's a better all-rounder in world cricket at the moment than Ravindra Jadeja, and it's not only at home. I mean, he's usually the number one choice for overseas trips now, as well, as we saw in England.
Yeah, definitely. And in Australia, before the series started, I did something on how Jadeja might be the key player. All eyes are on Ashwin, but Jadeja could be the key player for India once again, and that's what was proven in the first innings as well. The thing with Jadeja is, as you said, that it's not just in Indian conditions that he does well. Maybe with the ball, he's not as effective overseas, though we did see, when India toured England into 2021, he was troubling the left-handers, and the Indian team selected him because of, the way he troubled the left-handers from the rough, and that's exactly what happened. Even in India, when England came calling in 2021, he was troubling Ben Stokes. So he has had his number on the left-handers as well. What's interesting is that he doesn't turn the ball much, and just keeps bowling one line, the fourth stump line to the right-handers, and it just keeps the batsman guessing. And this is something which Steve Smith had said a few years ago about Jadeja, that he's so good because he hits the good length and the ball just skids on and it leaves the batters guessing, and that's exactly what happened. And it was very interesting that Steve Smith just kept on showing his thumbs up, gave a thumbs up sign to Jadeja throughout the innings, which again has got its flag from Alan Border, who is like, you are not here for showing how good the opponent is, you're here to tough it out or something on those lines. So Steve Smith seems to be a good sport after all the sandpaper gate and all. So it was not it was a good sign for an Indian to see that you are appreciating such a quality bowler, a bowler who has run through the Australian order. And even his batting, it's time and again he's just shown up, he's done the job. And it's not only Jadeja as such, it's about the Indian middle order, lower middle order. Even Shami played a good knock, Akshar Patel with the 87. For the longest time it was the middle order, lower middle order, which had been India's biggest weakness. It was almost like the top 5 is over, now the batting is over. Now it's almost like the batting begins when the top 5 gets out. That's how good the lower middle order has been.
Absolutely, yeah. It really was just a fabulous all-round performance. And as we said, just a couple of maybe holes in that performance. No runs for Rahul, Pujara or Kohli, or Surya Kumar, actually, for that matter as well. But it was only the one innings that India managed to get in the match. So hopefully, as the series progresses, we'll see better from that point of view. In terms of Nagpur as a place, there's not a lot going on, is there? But apparently, I've been reliably told that if I came here 15 years ago, there was even less going on. I mean, at least there's a few nice places to go and eat and all that kind of stuff now. Apparently there wasn't a lot. And even in terms of hotel infrastructure, 20 years ago, there was very little. And now they've at least, got some more nicer hotels because they know people are going to come for the cricket and stuff. Have you been to Nagpur before?
I've been once for one day during a wedding
And that was
in
enough.
2015, so don't really have that much of memories. Yeah. So don't really have that much. How was the food? I saw a picture of you eating pav bhaji, I think, in Mumbai. So how was the food? How has the food
Yeah, I
been?
mean,
Do you like Indian
yeah,
food?
when you go to Mumbai, you've got to have pav bhaji to start with. That's my tradition anyway. So that was the first. Literally got off the plane, waiting for the internal flight, and we had a few hours to kill. So that was my meal of choice. It's been good. It's the food at the ground was very nice, and it was a lot better than most grounds in England where you just I don't know why they do it, but you don't get always a good vegetarian option, and when you do, they try and make it really this posh kind of vegetarian. No one eats that kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is just pure hearty food, and
Yeah.
it's delicious at the ground. And to be honest, at the ground, everyone was so friendly. Like, all this chaos that we had in the build up to the test, the morning of the first day, and everybody helped us get to a point where we had everything we needed. All the feeds, all the audio feeds, the screen, with the live feed coming through as well, the stump mic effects coming through our system. So we could sort of relay that on the radio. And it was a tough job, but we got it all done. Wi-Fi issues, and everyone was so helpful. Not only people who work at the ground, but people who were working as part of the TV production company as well. They couldn't do enough for us, and it was great. And yeah, I don't think I've taken as many selfies and signed as many autographs. There were some people sort of afterwards saying, "Name, please," and I was like, "Okay, so you don't know who I am, but okay." So yeah, no, it was a great experience doing that test match, and Delhi will be very different. I'm assuming, and I've been to Delhi before, but never to. I've been to watch.
Delhi will be
It will
cold.
be cooler. I've been there to watch cricket at the stadium there at the Kotla, but never to commentate on it there. So this will be a first experience for me. And yeah, looking forward to it. And talking of venues, shift in venue for the third test. We'll have a quick discussion about that after this short break.
If you love the language of cricket and want more, then head over to the 99.94 app and you can hear all of our podcasts and cricket commentary. We're adding new shows all the time and covering cricket series from all over the world. Be the first to hear all of our announcements by following us on social media at 9994DM. Welcome to Cricket's Conversation.
So I'm here for the first two tests only, and I was gutted when I saw the schedule and it said Dharamshala, third test. I thought that is the one that I want to do. And fourth test, Ahmedabad, in my home state, my ancestral home state. So, it's nice speaking a bit of Gujarati when you're in India and all that. And, usually you can do that in most parts of Mumbai, and there'll always be people who understand you. But, this time, Nagpur, Delhi, I'm going to have to try and speak my broken Hindi, which is not very good. But Dharamshala for the beauty of the place, and then Ahmedabad. So I was gutted, but now I feel a little bit better from a selfish point of view that they're all going to be stuck in indoor, which, apparently the stadium location, everything is good. It's in the middle of the city, so it's easy to get to. And India have got a good record there, so from an Indian point of view, that's fine. But a bit of a shambles, really, from Dharamshala and all the authorities there with the relaying of the outfield. Patches in it. I mean, look, I commend the fact that they wanted to get this state-of-the-art drainage system put in, this sand-based system, but maybe it's not all their fault because of the weather conditions there at this time of year. The grass just isn't going to grow, and there are going to be patches there, right? I think I checked, and it was about 1 degree Celsius the other day in Dharamshala. So a little bit, they should have maybe planned better, but also, nature has come into it, and they've had to move it. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it would have been harsh for the players also. It's very unfortunate for the fans because on Twitter there were a lot of my mutuals, not media people, but a lot of fans who were traveling to Dharmshala. They had made their plans. They were asking around for hotels, the closest hotels to the stadium, which won't take a lot of time and which weren't that expensive. And also, there were a lot of people who were traveling to Dharmshala just to view the cricket, not necessarily as media people, but just to watch cricket with scenic background and all. And it again, this brings the topic of BCCI and their scheduling, which we have seen in the past. There was an instance during winters, matches are held so regularly in Delhi, when with the air pollution quality just around Diwali, it tends to get the worst in the country and maybe even the world. It just gets so bad. And there was this series against uh, Sri Lanka a few years ago, where the players were actually wearing masks and it was that bad. So the scheduling has not really been the BCCI's strongest point. I was in Lucknow, not very far from Delhi, but not in Delhi, and the air quality was terrible that I got fever or whatever you want to call it, for around a week, because just inhaling the air was terrible. And there you were throwing the players to play in that and be exposed to that temperature for the that quality air quality for the longest time, and that was just terrible. So BCCI should have done better on that. It's unfortunate for them also, because no one likes last minute shifting of venues. Uh, with Dharmshala, you almost had a feeling that it would have been the stadium which would have suited the Australians the best. So if they wanted any chance of winning a match or staying alive in the series, probably that could have been the match where they would have had some help for the Pacers. But as Fox said, that Ashwin averages 12 in Indore, so there's that. And we also have to talk about Rohit Sharma. Like, before we log off, we have to talk about Rohit Sharma. Currently, is he an all condition beast? Is he like the best test player in the world right now? We can say that he's not had a lot of test matches behind him. Injuries have kept him out, but I actually looked up some stats, and since 2019, only Kane, Marner, Smith, and Barber have more runs at a better average than Rohit Sharma. So, and these, we call these players the greats of the modern era at least. So would you say Rohit averages 57.65, by the way, with 600s and 450 since 2019? Not played a lot of matches, but he's done well in India, he's done well abroad. So right now, is he the best, at least? Yeah, one of the
He's
best
up
test
there. Look, he
batters in the
hasn't
world.
proven it away from home enough, but he has started to. Like, he had a couple of good innings in that tour of Australia towards the end when he came back. And then in England, scoring 100 at the Oval and getting some good starts at the top of the order as well. So he's starting to.
Yeah.
I mean, at home, he's Bradman-esque, right? He's just unbelievable, just keeps churning out the
Yeah.
runs. And I was on commentary with Ravi Shastri at the time when he brought up his 100 as well. So it was, great to hear Ravi talking about how they got him into the side, and they said, look, we have to get Rohit into the side when he was head coach, and the way to get him in is just get him to open like he does in white ball, and it's worked an absolute treat. So yeah, he really is up there in Test cricket as one of the very best in the world, and in fact probably the best in this Indian lineup at the moment in terms of form across different conditions and just how important he is to this side as well. So yeah, great from the skipper. Always good to see the skipper scoring runs. He looked in very relaxed mood when we saw him in and around the ground and after the game as well. So yeah, hopefully India can take that momentum into Delhi. And just before we sign off as well, massive well done to India's women for that victory against Pakistan. An expected victory, but a tight game nonetheless. And good to see Jemmy Rodriguez getting some runs as well with that unbeaten 50 to see India over the line.
And even Richa Ghosh, it's almost like Richa Ghosh didn't score on the under 19 level, because she's like, this is not my game anymore. I'm there for the senior level, and under 19, yeah, it's okay. I'm destined for bigger things. I'm destined for the senior team and doing well for the senior team. So it was very encouraging to see. She came in. India were in a spot of bother 40 in the last 4 overs, and then Gemma, whose form had been an issue, and batting at number three. It's almost like, you can trust the number threes to do well against Pakistan. It was Kohli in 2022, is Gemma Rodriguez right now. So, yeah, good win, and hopefully it's And was without Smriti Mandana, let's not forget that. So encouraging signs there as well.
Absolutely, yes. So, right, that's all about that is about all we've got time for, rather, on this episode. Thanks very much for joining us. I think the next time we'll speak is probably post Delhi. Will it be 3 days? Will it be 4 days? Will it be 5 days that test match lasts? We'll have to wait and see. But thanks for joining us,
Will you be
and we'll speak to you next time.